welcome to my channel. This is Nancy and you're watching Bohemian Stitchery. This is a channel mainly about cross stitch where I will share with you all of my cross stitch journeys, including all of the things I've been working on and things I've been buying, things I've been looking at, things I want to start. So this is my June update to give you a little bit of an update on what I've been doing over the last month. I've got a few things. I've got a tiny finish. I've got some progress on things I'd like to show you. I managed to do all of my Whip Go numbers last month. New start, of course, as well as a few other updates. I'll do my 3x3 stash dive, and then at the end I'll give you a little bit of a life update if you'd like to hang around for that. So today is Saturday the 1st of July. It's freezing cold here in Adelaide. The sun has been shining today. I am looking out the other way. I'm actually filming the other way around this time, same table, but just turned around. And I can see outside, and it's quite nice. It's not raining, but it is cold. My hands are absolutely freezing, which is nothing unusual. So without further ado, I'll get on with my June update. Now, to start with, I have a teeny tiny little finish. This is not a big finish. It's only a little tiny one. There we go. Isn't that cute? So that is a little free chart, which I discovered a group on Facebook, which is, I think, called Free Cross Stitch Challenge. Free Cross Stitch Challenge group. I think I would have written the name down. Haven't written the name down. Pop the name down here. Anyway, in this group, they set challenges each month, and you can count up points for all of the things you achieve. So there's challenges about numbers of stitches that you do. There's like a little Whip Go board, and you get points for achieving that. And then the organizer also sends a free chart, and you can get some points if you finish that chart. So I finished it. It's very cute. I did it on just a piece of scrap 14 count Ada that I have. You can see I've done it on a long piece because I'm going to turn it into a little sort of scissor fob / pin cushion. But I've been doing that on the bus on the way to and from work, which I've really enjoyed. And what I've also really enjoyed about it is I just used threads out of my, I don't know if any of you remember seeing my big box full of just random threads, so I could use some random threads for that. So it's not very big, but it's a finish, so I'm quite pleased with that. So there you are. So that's my one and only finish for June. Okay, so if you do like a bit of a challenge, have a look at that Facebook group. It's quite fun. I probably should put my points together for the month. Oh, and then if you put your points in, it all kind of goes into a draw depending on how many points that you earn. And the organizer has an Etsy shop, and you can win one of the charts from her shop. I'll put all the details down here about that if you'd like to look into that. Okay, so I have had progress on a few things. So I'll start with the 3 Whip Go calls. Actually, no, what I'll do is I'll start with a May Whip Go, which when I did my May update, it still wasn't quite the end of May. So I actually did a little bit more on this. So this is Wood Splitters by Tom Roberts. Oops, there's the shine on it. That's the chart. Okay, it is a full coverage. Now for my May Whip Go, my challenge was to do 1,000 stitches on it, which I did. I think when I showed it to you last time, I'll see if I can find a picture of when I showed it to you last time. I didn't quite have all of that, but as you can see, I started working on the diagonal. And so I actually achieved quite a bit of that. So I was quite pleased. That looked good. And I also used that one on a couple of my Fridays for my Fine Art Friday stitch along. I'll put the hashtag down there. That's a stitch along where you can stitch on any piece which is a replica of a piece of sort of fine art. This is a famous painting by Tom Roberts here in Australia. So, you don't have to stitch it on a Friday, even though it says Fine Art Friday. You can stitch whatever day you like. But if you're stitching, if you've got any project that you've got which is a fine art piece, and you'd like to just use the hashtag. We'd love to see what you're doing. So, okay, so that was my end of May. So I managed to achieve a bit on that. Okay, then my 3 Whip Go calls for June. The first one was So Cozy. Now, I showed this to you a little while ago. This was a piece that it's by Dimensions, and it's a piece that I'd picked up at a guild sale, and it was already like partly stitched. It was on this frame. You can see it's a bit grimy. I think I showed you that last time, but that'll wash off. Anyway, my challenge for my Whip Go board was to complete 4 motifs. So I decided to start down here in the bottom corner, and I finished the basket, I finished the box, I finished the sewing machine, and I finished the lamp. That was my 4 motifs. Now, as I was stitching away on this basket, I realized the counting was off, and it took me a while to work it out, but I didn't actually stitch the table for the sewing machine. My predecessor, whoever had started it, stitched it, and she was 1 stitch out. And I sat there for a while going, do I unpick everything? Do I just fudge it? What do I do? So I fudged it, and I think it looks okay. Now, what gets to me with this, there's an enormous amount of back stitch, but oh my goodness, what a difference when you put the back stitch in. Let's see if I can put something behind that so you can see that clearly. Let's see if I can do that nice and close. So once you got the back stitch in, it just brings it to life. I think I've said before, I'm not an enormous fan of doing back stitch, but just the difference that it makes. So yeah, so I did more than 500 stitches. There is a reason for that. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I was just really thrilled, and it's amazing when you start to actually see these little motifs come to life. It really motivates you to get on with it. So I'm really pleased at the progress on that one. So that was one of my Whip Go calls. My second Whip Go call, I believe, I can't remember what number it was the Floral Garden Sampler by Jane Greenough. I should show you the original picture of that. I've actually not brought out the picture from my craft room for So Cozy. So what I'll do is I'll pop a picture up here if I can find it. And then for this one, this is a Jane Greenough sampler. And so what I'll do with this one is I'm also going to have to show you, put a picture up here because I haven't got it with me. I suppose I could always go and get it because I'm a disorganized idiot. I just paused there and went and got the pictures. So I just think that's just so much easier because I have them here. So let's rewind back to my Dimensions kit. So Cozy. Here we are. That's, look at the shine. That's what it's actually going to look like when finished. Okay, so you can see where I've been working around that bit. And you can see how much back stitch is in there. All right, and that's Charts and Charms by Dimensions. Now, this one is the Jane Greenough one, and it's called Floral Garden Sampler. And let me find the picture of it. There it is. See if you can see. No, let's not do that. Too much shine. Let's just take the jolly thing out, and then there won't be any shine on it at all. There you go. Okay, so that's the Floral Garden Sampler by Jane Greenough, the Cross Stitch Guild. There's lots of specialty stitches in it. Some pulled thread, bit of drawn thread there as well. Yeah, lots. Anyway, so my challenge on my Whip Go board was to finish 1 band. Well, I actually finished 2.5 bands because, let's put this behind it, because I wanted to get my 500 stitches done. So that's how far I got. So I finished off, let's see if we can hold that up. I finished off this band here, which is mainly cross stitch, bit of a few French knots in there. This one here, which has got some little eyelets in it, and then I made a start on this one. These 2 pink lines, that's actually Montenegrin stitch or long-armed cross stitch. So I actually did more than the Whip Go board had asked me to, which I'm pleased at. The reason I'm doing the 500 stitches is because of the group that I'm in, my 50 for 50 Mania group on Facebook that we've set up, which everybody is allowed to come and join if you would like to. So this is a group of us who are turning 50 next year, and we're all setting ourselves big stitching goals for our 50th year. And I think I mentioned previously, my goal leading up to when I turn 50 next April is to do 500 stitches in 50 whips. So every one of these whips that I'm picking up, even if my whip go has been achieved, if I haven't done my 500 stitches, then I'll keep going until I've got my 500 stitches, and then I can mark it off that one as well. So that's what I did with the Jane Greenough. Okay, that's popped right down there. Right, and then the third one, which was whip go. Now, the reason I've got 3 numbers is because I started so late. I want to do the numbers from the beginning of the year. So I worked out if I do 1 extra number per month, then by the end of the year, I should have done them all. So, but the third one was the Heaven and Earth Designs Mystery Stitch Along from 2017. I did show this a couple of videos ago. And it's a sampler. Here you are. Oh, can you see all that? We get it in. Oh, there we go. You got a little bit of light behind us. I'm doing this on a 25 count Lagana, 1/1, of course. Now, my challenge was to finish 1 animal. So I actually did this kangaroo. And then because I wanted to get my 500 stitches, I finished off this lion, and I started working on the rest of this dragon as well. So sorry about the light behind me. There you go. So that's looking quite good. I'm not quite at 50%. I did manage to put this one into Pattern Keeper. It didn't quite come out right, but good enough. And I'm still in the process of marking off the stitches that I've already stitched, which is not easy. So that was my whip go. So I achieved that with lots of days to spare. And because I achieved it with lots of days to spare, it then gave me the freedom to go, oh, I can stitch on whatever I like now. So the other things that I did stitch on for the month, let's try, sorry about this, get everything vaguely organized here. So one of the things I also stitched on was, lose that would be a disaster. My Awesome Narwhals by Stitcherovia, Emma Cogden. Where's the picture? There it is. Be so awesome, people think you're a myth. My kids love this one. I love this one too. So I did a few more stitches in that. So where am I? Which way is the right way up? That's the right way up. There we go. So that's where I'm at on that one. Yes, that is the right way up. I just thought I'd better check, not holding it upside down. I'm still not at 500 stitches on this one, so it's still in my next to my chair, which means I'm still picking it up because I don't want to put it down until I've done 500 stitches. So that's that one. So I've got a bit of progress on that, just a little bit, but every little helps. Then another one I have also been working on because of my Fine Art Friday stitch along is the Water Lily Pond. This is the Monet, based on the Monet painting. I am going to have to put a picture of this one up because I have found the cardboard envelope that it came in, but the picture on the front is not ideal. It's kind of expanded and cuts off a little bit. So anyway, so this is where I've got to on that one. You see I'm having a go at trying to work in square diagonals. So this piece is a really good piece because I'm doing it on 14 count Ada, which means it's big. It's a really good one for trying out different full coverage techniques because obviously it's completely full coverage. Because I can see it. So I keep chopping and changing. I think I said that before when I was doing this one. I'm holding it sideways. And let's try it. Oh, there it is. That looks so much better. Oh, honest, just whatever. Right, there it is. That's what it should look like, not that. So that looks better. You can actually almost see a bridge there now. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm using this to try out different techniques. So I keep chopping and changing from, you know, different, like doing 10 by 10 like columns, and then I was trying to do a bit of cross country, and now I'm having a go at doing it in diagonal squares, see how that goes. So yeah, it's all just a try out. I mean, eventually it doesn't matter. Eventually it'll get finished, and I don't think it really matters how you do it, but this is a really good piece. I'm finding that if I see a technique that somebody's using for full coverage, I think, oh, I'll give it a shot on that one because it's on 14 counts. So yeah, so that's actually coming along. I'm pleased. It's coming along. Everything's coming along. It's good. I love a bit of progress. It's great. Right, so that's the water lily pond. Let's put that one away. Right, and what else? Where's my notes? I did nails. Ooh. Now, actually, I think the next one I want to talk about actually counts as a new start. And then there is my lady in sunset. Now, I'll pop a picture of her up here. I got her from Etsy, and I got her specifically to join Stitch Me Sane's Wall of Women. I'm doing her on 18 count Ada, and I haven't got a huge amount further on, but I have got a little bit further. So there we are, that's where I am now. Just a little bit further. I'm still using the same color. I haven't managed to kit it up completely, but that's because I'm going to become a master extreme cross-country stitcher out of economic necessity, I think. So it allows me to start lots and lots of things without having to fully kit them up. And the more I think about it, and I have actually, when I talk about my haul, I have actually moved forward in that because kitting up, as I'm sure all of you who've done any amount of, whether it's full coverage or whatever, knows, is the most expensive part of the process. So buying the charts, probably okay. Even getting the fabric's not too bad. But then when you've got to buy 90 or 50 or 150 different DMC threads or whatever threads, it's expensive. And when you're doing kits, and you know that like me, I'm constantly moving around, changing which ones I'm doing, which means it could be a long time before I get to certain colors. So they just sit in the boxes, and that's okay. I'm not going to be taking them out of boxes. Once I've kitted something up, it's kitted. But for all these new starts, and I do love a new start, rather than me have to see if I can find the money in order to kit them all up, which is nigh on impossible, but I also don't want to not start them. I thought if I get really good at extreme cross country, then I can just use one color. And when I finish that one color, then I can go and buy the next color, which means it spreads it all out. So yes, so I am going to become extreme cross country queen out of, as I said, economic necessity. So that's Lady in Sunset. So I've got a little bit more done on her, and then that's it. Okay, so I'll now show you my 2 new starts. I've actually had 2 new starts. I thought I'd only had one. One of them, sorry, I'm just gonna drink my coffee. And then I'm gonna reach back here where I've got another pile of stuff. Here we are, this is more stuff. It's not my stuff. Where's my next lot of stuff? Is this it? No. I have got a new start here somewhere, in amongst everything. I don't know. Right, let me show you the one new start I do have, because it's right here in front of me. So I will show you this one, if I can find where the folder is. Do you know what? There's what I thought I had everything piled up. There is a pile missing, which has got both my new starts in it. And I've put it somewhere. This is kind of the story of my life a little bit. Let's see if I lift my glasses and look over there. Oh, that's because I've left it over by my stitching chair. So just wait there a minute. It's totally rehearsed, as you can see. I've practiced this. I knew exactly what I was doing. I'll be back just a sec. One day I'm going to do one of these videos and I'm going to be completely organized. Today is not that day. Okay, right, 2 new starts. So the first one, I showed you, I bought this little pattern. Well, I bought this little pattern. My darling daughter decided to buy this little pattern. It's called Gnomeville from Little Dove Designs. Let's see if I can find the picture. Oh, it's so cute. I bought it off Etsy last month, I think. Okay, and I told you I had a lovely, well, I'm not doing it on green. I found this kind of piece of sort of oatmeal-y coloured 14 count Ada. And so I've made a start. There we go, I've just started on the border. I had actually gone further, but stupidly, I cut this little piece of fabric thinking it was the right size, but it's, oh, sorry about the light behind me, but as you can see, it's not actually, it's a bit hard to see, it's not actually straight along the bottom. So I sort of started and then went all the way and I thought, oh, I'll go all the way down. And then I got down here and realized I was actually going to run out of room on the bottom. So what I had to do was unpick, because I'd done the top line, unpick that and then lift it. Does that make sense? Probably doesn't make sense, but makes sense to me. In any case, it meant that there was a bit of frogging that had to be done. And then restart. But I started on the border. I thought at least once I've got the border in, then everything else I know will fit inside. So that was one of my little new starts. That's Gnomeville. And then the other little start, well, it's actually a really big start, is one of my fine art full coverage pieces that I showed you in my last video. This one. It's called the Luncheon of the Boating Party. It's actually by Renoir. So I thought I'm going to give that a go. Mainly because after I'd done that video, I was like, I've got all these beautiful charts. I just want to start them all. And then it was like, well, okay, let's start them. So I've decided to do this one on a piece of 22 count Ada. I did post up on one of the Facebook groups asking 22 count 2/1, 1/1, what's the best? Lots of mixed thoughts on it, but several people said 1/1 is fine, full cross obviously, and one lady showed me, like posted up a picture of a piece which was fairly dark and she'd done it 1/1 on 22 count and it looked great. So I thought I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with 1/1. 22 I think is because it's one of those strange sizes where I think 2/1 for me would be too tight between in holes, especially when you've got like essentially 8 strands in each hole, but it's still bigger than like your average 25 or 28 counts. So anyway, so what I did is I gridded it up using a friction pen. I don't know if you've come across these pens. They're the ones which come off in heat, because I'll always iron it afterwards. Just the trick, don't iron it before you're ready to get rid of the grids, because if you do, they'll just disappear. Apparently, if you stick it in the freezer, they'll come back again. I don't really want to be sticking my cross stitch in the freezer, but you know, but at least I know like they will come off. So I gridded it up. It's not very tidy, but I did. And here we are. I'm starting on my extreme cross country. So I had black. I have plenty of black. So I thought, well, I'll start with black and see how you go. Now that's 1/1 full cross. And I actually think, considering that's the darkest color on white, the coverage is good. I'm pleased with it. I'm happy I chose 1/1, not 2/1. So yeah, so I'm going to do all the black, and on this particular chart, black is the main color, as in the one that's got the most number of stitches. So I'm going to do it all in black. And just on that, I decided, well, look, I've got lots of other charts I'd like to start, and if I'm happy to do extreme cross country with black, I'm going to invest in a cone of DMC 310, which I have. I bought it from JK's cross stitching here in Australia. It works out, a cone, 100 gram cone is about 56 skeins, and it works out about, from what I can buy it from JK's, probably about $10 cheaper than buying 56 skeins, and also much more convenient because 56 skeins is a lot of skeins of black. So with the black cone of thread, it means that I can do extreme cross country on quite a few of these, and I've got a couple of new charts I'll show you, both of which I'll do the same. And then at least it means I can get started, and then as time goes on, I can get the rest of the threads. So that's Renoir, luncheon at the boating party. So I'm pleased with that new start. I can't not start things. I just love starting. I really enjoy seeing progress, and I'm really enjoying Whip Go because it's making me progress on whips which I haven't touched. In fact, today I've picked up, because it's now July, so there's 3 numbers called in July, so that means I've got 4 to do. And one of mine was for July is Old Smoky. Put that one up here. Which was my oldest whip, was the one I started back in about 1997, and I've just pulled it out today, and I'm really enjoying it. But without that Whip Go call, I probably would have been like, oh yeah, I will do it, I will, because I'm so close to it, I will. But the Whip Go call is like, right, this is what I'm doing this month, no questions about it. I like being kind of almost told what to do, or this is part of the challenge. So okay, so those are my 2 new starts. Right, what else can I tell you about? All right, now I think I told you last time I had the most amazing bit of stitchy kindness. Maybe I didn't, I'm not sure I did. I think I definitely put it on Instagram. So Cardiff Stitcher, Danielle from over in Wales, obviously, very kindly sent me an old tablet that she had, which she said was just lying around her house, never used, and would I like it? And I was like, oh, that would be fantastic, which means I've been able to set up Pattern Keeper. I am now on the Pattern Keeper bandwagon, and I'm loving it. Okay, but there's a few things that I've found with Pattern Keeper that I'm having a few issues with. As you can see, I've already started putting lots of charts in. There you are. You can see that's my Lady in Sunset there. So that one from Etsy didn't go into Pattern Keeper. I had to put the grids on manually, and it's not picking up the symbols. But that's okay, because when you open it up, the symbols are really clear. You can see it's quite easy to pick them up. Shouldn't be showing charts, but it's only a tiny little bit. You can only see a little bit there. So, it's not too bad. It was a little frustrating. I'd hoped it would pick up, but some do, and just some don't pick up in Pattern Keeper. The other thing I have had a bit of an issue with is, as I mentioned last time, I've got lots of paper charts, so I've been trying to scan them into PDF to put them into Pattern Keeper, recognizing, a bit like the Lady in Sunset, that it won't pick up the symbols, but at least I can mark it off using Pattern Keeper. I've struggled because no matter how hard I try, I cannot seem to scan straight. I even tried to use the big scanner I've got at work, which is, really good quality. and it still came out slightly skewed. And if it's slightly skewed, the grid will not sit over the top. I put up a question on the Pattern Keeper Facebook group as to what I can do. I've had a few responses back, which a couple of them I need to try out and just see whether I can sort it out, because there are some of those paper charts that I'd really like to get started, but now that I've discovered Pattern Keeper and how easy it is to mark off with Pattern Keeper, it's going back to papers. Really, it's hard. And I think the reason being is because when you're stitching and you've got Pattern Keeper, it's really easy to just, you know, touch. Whereas when you have got paper, I find I put my needle down, pick up my pen, mark it off, put the pen down, pick the needle up, do a stitch, put the pen down, put the needle down. Worse if I'm using a highlighter, because then you've got the added step of do your stitch, pick the highlighter up, take the lid off the highlighter, colour it in, put it down, put the lid back on the highlighter, put it down. Made the mistake of not putting the lid back on. Highlighters like got highlighter everywhere, etc. And it takes time. So Pattern Keeper is so much quicker. So I'm really keen on working on trying to get these paper charts into Pattern Keeper. I wish there was a deskew function within Pattern Keeper. I know there is if you put it in as a photograph, but it's not there for PDFs, which I find a little bit frustrating, because all I need to do is just adjust one little corner of my grid and it would sit right. But it's because it's sitting slightly sort of at an angle, I just need to adjust it slightly that way. I mean, that makes it look really big. It's not that, it's like a couple of millimeters, but that couple of millimeters means when you put the grid over the top, it does not correspond with the squares. If anybody's had experience, anybody can give me advice, gratefully received. It really would be. So now the other thing with Pattern Keeper, and I'll show you this one, is I'm having to go through with some of my older charts, which I've started, and mark off in Pattern Keeper what I've already done. Most of them have not been too bad because I'd kept paper charts. However, there is one, this is the Old World Map, Heaven and Earth Designs, Old World Map, which I showed you, where I think I told you I'd done this using my old iPad, which no longer works, using, I think it's Goodreader. And I lost it because the iPad doesn't work, and anyway, which means I don't have any of this marked off. So going into Pattern Keeper and trying to mark off stitches I've already done, it's really, really, really hard. Especially because that's 25 count, 1/1, full cross. So what I finally decided I'm going to have to do, so I'm going to have to suck it up and grid it, which is what I've started to doing. Now, gridding is not much fun. It's actually really boring. So I'm kind of doing it like 2 rows at a go, and then I'll put it down and then pick it up and 2 rows at a go. I'm using, have I got it? Here it is, this stuff. I think I showed you this before. Essentially, it's just very fine fishing line. Comes in a roll like that, and it's a sort of a slightly pink. Oh, you can't even see it, it's so fine. Oh, if I put it there, yeah, there you are. You can get it, you can see. Sort of a slightly pink, very fine fishing line. And the good thing about being fishing line is it means you're not going to stitch it in because it's slippery. So whereas I've tried gridding with cotton, and I've ended up stitching it in, and then you can't get it out, and it's just annoying. Whereas with this stuff, it actually pulls out very easily because it's plastic essentially. And so I thought this is probably the best way to grid. So as you can see, I've made a start on gridding. I haven't got very far, but at least I've made a start. I've got to do the downward grids as well. And then I'm hoping once I've gridded it, I can then go back to Pattern Keeper, and it'll be a little easier to see which stitches I've done and to be able to mark those off already in Pattern Keeper. But yeah, note to self, back everything up. back up all the PDFs that you've been working on, because if you don't back them up, you end up getting lost. Okay, so that's something I've been periodically doing, is the gridding. And then whilst I was gridding, I thought, well, while I'm in the process of gridding, let's have a go. Do you all remember last month I put a request out? What do you think I should do this one? This is a free chart from Unconventional Cross Stitch, which I love. And I wanted to do it either on a blue or a black. I think my heart deep down wanted black. I had some really good advice. A couple of my lovely viewers suggested charcoal, which I am all for, but I really didn't want to buy more fabric. I have a lot of fabric, as you've probably seen up until now, and you will continue to see as the month's coming. It'd be really nice to use fabric that I've already got, and it just saves a bit of money. The blue was quite nice, but so I know doing like 2/1 tent stitch on black 28 count is going to be challenging, but it'll look so good. So I think it was the lovely FlossTube stitcher Carolyn. She only wrote a note, a comment, I think a couple of days ago, and she said, I'm always up for a challenge, go for black. And it was just that which just tipped me over, and I was like, yeah, you're right, Carolyn, I'm going to go for black. And of course, doing it on a black 28 count Lagana, how do you grid it? And then I realized, of course, this pink fishing line, which is essentially what it is, shows out. It actually shows out really well on the black. So I'm gonna slowly grid this, and then as soon as I've got that gridded, I'm gonna get that one started. Another new start. So there we go. Okay, so that's that. Right. So that's what I've been working on now. Shall I show you my haul? Yes, I haven't got a lot of haul. I can't show you my lovely cone of black 310. Oh, I've got a cat meowing. Oh, there's a cat meowing behind me. Oh no, he's underneath my feet. Who is this one? Just give me a second. Jasper. Hello. Oh. This is Jasper. Hello, Jasper. Hello. There we go. You don't look very happy there. All right. Sorry. It's just a brief cat interlude there, just because he was meowing and he decided he wanted to come and join. So I know the black 310 is on the way, because I got an email yesterday to say it's coming. But the only other thing I did is there was a July 4th sale with Heaven and Earth, and I was had 2 charts sitting in my cart, which I had allowed myself because I'd achieved a few sort of good habits and things this month. So these 2 charts are, the first one is called In the Springtime, and that is by Janelle Nickel. I really like that one. What I like so much about this is the little girl and the mum. Oh, Jasper likes this one too, don't you, Jasper? Jasper, no, really, seriously. Okay, bye. Thank you. Okay. Jasper is George's brother, if you remember George from the last videos. So what I like about this is mum with red hair, little girl with dark brown hair, and that's what me and Josie are like. I've got red hair. She's got dark brown hair because she's half Chinese. So so I looked at that and I thought, oh, it's just like me and Josie. So yeah, so I got that one. And then the other one I got was called Breaking Free by Ciro Marchetti. I like that one. Now this is definitely one that I can start with extreme cross, although there's probably more 939 than 310. There is quite a bit of 310, but all of this up here is 939, lots of 939. So I have a couple of skeins of 939 I could start with, although I suspect I'd need more than 2. But I reckon I'm going to start that one extreme cross country using black. So that was my 2 purchases this month. So Okay, so now we're going to do my 3x3 stash dive, like I do. So I'll start with 3 digital charts. I'll be honest with you, I'm actually starting to run out of digital charts to show you because most of my charts are in paper and cardboard. So I think when I run out of digital charts, doesn't mean I'm going to just go buy some more, although I'd like to. I'll change my 3x3 stash dive, and it'll probably be, 3x2 stash dive, and it'll be 3 paper charts. Anyway, whatever, it'll happen. But at the moment, I still have digital charts on my computer, which I haven't started. 2 of them are stitch alongs. This first one was a free one from, at the time it was Linen and Threads. They are now Fox and Rabbit. This was their 2018 mystery sampler. So after they did the 2017 one, which was just such a success, and which I have started, they have been doing them each year. So I have all of the 2018 one, which is a really pretty one. That's obviously part 12, so you can get an idea of all the bits. The second one I've got was also another stitch along, and also another one I never started. This one was called Specialty Stitches Butterfly Sal, and it was actually by Doreen Jones. So there's an awful lot of different kinds of stitches in there, beautiful colours. So that's a lovely one. And then the third one is actually 4 parts. I guess I'm saying it's one. I got this set off Etsy, which my daughter loved, and it's a set of trees. So there's the winter tree, the autumn tree, the summer tree, so pretty, and the spring tree. I can't remember the name of the Etsy shop I got it off, but I'll pop it down below. So, there we go. I managed to put this